You're getting a lot.
Is anyone here? What did you find?
You are listening to Supernatural Confessions.
Hey!
Hi!
What's up? What's up? Everybody, thank you for tuning in. This is our very first Ghost-Mortem.
Yeah.
It's a new segment where we meaning my co-host Jonathan Lim and myself,
Hello.
both of us crazy horror fans. We find ourselves spending a lot of time watching horror movies, and since most of you are also asking us, which to make some recommendations, and we thought, hey, you know what? Why don't we put our love for discussing about horror movies together and share this sometimes awesome nuggets of this. Sometimes we have all these great ideas, right, to share with the rest of you guys out there.
Yeah.
You want to tell us a little bit about what we're watching today?
Okay, so today's a very special, very short, only about 8 minutes film, possibly of Danish descent. And it's a very unusual one, so that's why I suggested it as our kickoff film, okay, because it's got a really interesting theme that is part of the twist, right? So don't think too much about it, okay? Just enjoy it for what it is for the moment, and then we'll talk about where it takes us later on.
Okay, and for those of you who might find Jonathan familiar, that's because he's also been a guest on one of our Supernatural Confessions, where we interviewed him and we found out about what makes Asian horror scarier than Hollywood horror, right? Okay, so now we're not going to ramble on too much. We want to share this video with you. So for the next 8 minutes, do enjoy the show.
Turn up the sound, turn up the sound.
Girl, you look awesome. Shoot. Oh, I'm sorry, babe. I gotta go. You send me pics, okay? See you later. Hello?
I saw you when you came home. You went shopping, right?
What? Where are you?
Please. Take off your clothes.
What?
Take off your clothes. Take off your clothes.
আমার দুঃখ পোড়া পোড়া
And we are back!
Yeah.
How do you find it, guys? I hope you guys liked this one, our very first horror short film that we are featuring for you guys. What do you think about that, John? What is your first thoughts when
I'm really fascinated by these closed room sort of stories, you know, and in this case it's a very enclosed room because she literally does not leave this little square of a bedroom, right? In fact, it's quite confusing what her living arrangements are because, you know, her main door opens into her bedroom, so it's like she's got no kitchen, she's got no bathroom, you know, and it's wonderful for the film because she's trapped, right? You know, it's such a beautiful way, and the camera gives us that sense that we're trapped in the room with her, so that's really, really useful.
I think it's more of a budget issue.
I mean, short films give you a whole new set of constraints, but also a whole new way of playing, because I can't imagine doing a feature film in one room.
Yeah.
You know, so a short film allows you to sort of explore that kind of claustrophobia.
Sure.
You know, and that's quite nice. You know, although personally, I wish she had a lot more clothing in the room. You know, there wasn't a tremendous sense of her shopping, well, I don't know if she's a shopping maniac or whatever, you know, or maybe she's just an ordinary girl with an ordinary amount of shopping. But then when that huge pile of shopping appears, I'm like, wait a minute, you know, that's a lot. That's a lot.
That's actually, you missed out on that. That's actually from a clothes hanger. Was already hanging in the room.
Okay. Maybe there wasn't enough focus on that.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
So now what we'll do is, I'm sure you guys are also wondering some of the scenes that you might have missed just now. We're gonna watch this movie again. For those of you who have just joined us, and some of you, like, I think Karen said she joined in too late and she missed the starting. Well, don't worry, we're gonna play the show again.
Yeah.
This time, we are gonna be commenting over the show as we go along.
Yeah.
And when you find something that you guys want to talk about, do just leave your comments, leave your thoughts in the comments, and we will get to it.
Yeah.
After the second run.
And for this time, what we can do is we'll play it all the way to the end, including the credits, because there's some post-credits stuff that they should see also.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
Let's go.
Okay, let's go. Immaterial. I like this opening a lot.
I thought it was Stranger Things.
Yeah, it has, right? Oh, it's got that drag me to hell kind of look, right?
Yes. Primark. This is what? London.
Sponsorship.
Yeah. Product placement. You see the clothes at the back?
There, okay. They look like sheets, that's the problem. They don't look very colorful.
Sorry, babe. I gotta go. You send me pics, okay? See you later.
She has very colorful taste in wallpaper, but very plain taste in clothing.
But she has a Marshall amp. That's quite cool.
So this is our first hint of what's coming up.
Actually, I didn't even notice back then because the title, like, take off your clothes, to me that sounds, it brings me to a different place, not horror.
It throws you off a little bit, right? But your first sign of something wrong. Look at his t-shirt. It says major cause, which is a nice hint
You went shopping,
about what the
right?
film is about.
What? Where are you?
Please.
I'm not really sure I'm going to stand there and, in front of this weird guy and have that long a conversation.
She's very courteous, lah.
Yeah. Now this scene I like.
Observe that his hand is trembling. So it's very interesting whether he's sort of unable to stop himself from doing what he's doing. Is he being compelled? Is he possessed?
But I think they're trying to make him look like he's a druggie. He's a really dodgy fella.
Yeah, so it gives us a different kind of fear.
Oh,
right?
This is a hint.
He's the creepy neighbor or creepy stranger fear rather than a supernatural fear.
This part got to me. If this happened in my house, I'm out of there, man. I'm out of there.
I'm wondering if those are her clothes as well.
Probably.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that little flicker of the lighter?
Yeah.
Just happened.
So this scene I thought was very important because from a horror perspective, it forces you to question which is more dangerous. The crazy guy outside
or the weird clothing inside. Yeah.
And this shot
Yeah.
was deliberate because it makes you feel that there's something behind her.
Yes. The POV is very revealing. This one is an interesting twist on your usual sort of doorknob trope, right? Because it's something jiggling the door, but the door's open.
Yeah.
It's not a closed door.
And now it moves out slightly.
Yeah, exactly. So you think like, wait a minute, who cares, right? And then suddenly the door moves. You're like, what's behind the door?
And then it throws you off.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Because you're so focused at looking at the door, right? You don't even want looking at the chair.
That made me scream so hard.
Girl, at this time you're still not running out of the house and you're like looking around, not calling for help. See? The clothes. It's off the hanger. So that's the part you missed out, right? You said you
Yes,
wonder.
yes.
That looks like a lot of clothes.
Yeah. Finally, she decides to call for help. Interesting how, as a millennial, she wouldn't pick up the phone and make a phone call. even in such a situation, it's like, I need to text.
If your life is in danger, you can
Just call. There's a very nice shadow effect on the wall there. Yeah.
I noticed that as well when I watched it. I thought it was very nice because they pull out a long shot and you see the shadow start to just drag against the wall.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Is he still there? Is he still there?
And then they don't show you the message yet, they just show you expression.
It's in your phone. Was that the phone short circuiting?
Yeah, the whole house lights goes off, phone short circuit.
Okay.
There's like an EMF surge.
Not a Samsung battery lah.
See, this is your typical another horror trope where you need to have a sexy girl bending over and being vulnerable.
In a t-shirt that's too short for her. Aha! Okay, that's nice.
So this is cool because she doesn't know, but the audience get to see, and as an audience you feel frightened for her.
Yeah.
Something is there already, right? You can't really see, but something is there.
Nice.
That's the part that makes you look into the darkness, and then where your imagination starts to run wild. Like, did I see something? Did I not see something? But in this case, that fear materialized.
I will not hurt you. You have to stop hurting me.
What?
I will not hurt you.
But you have to stop hurting me.
And then you say, and then,
There's that false sense of relief, right?
yes.
The music stopped playing, everything seems okay. Because she says, I'm not hurting you.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Very smart.
Luckily, her hood has no smoke alarm.
And you see this part, she's not even afraid anymore. She's almost,
Yeah.
right? From the good acting of, being so fearful. But in this scene, she's almost like... It tells
It's
a
like
story.
she's aware of something.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's dealing with it. She's like half looking and half, yeah.
The fear has
And this
turned
tells
into
us what's going
realization.
on. And this reveals to the audience what the film was really about.
Yeah.
So that's what the fuck is up. Fast fashion is killing the planet. My name is India.
My name is Felix. I directed this film. It was a true joy and pleasure to work with you.
Yeah, when Felix asked me if I want to play in a movie.
Okay,
that
I don't
deals
think
with
we...
fast
Do we need to see the rest of it?
fashion, I said, hell yeah.
Yeah, then let it go on.
Okay.
I was born in India, and I think it's important to raise awareness for this issue.
Actually, we're a film crew that highlights social issues with horror films. We try to make this world a better place by scaring the shit out of people.
If you like what we do, subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to take off your clothes.
I like it. I like it a lot. I like it a lot.
So it's highly unique to me, because you very rarely come across a film, that is not only able to scare you, but able to make you think about a real life issue afterwards.
Yeah.
Horror films generally are successful when they are very personal, right? When they're sort of emotional about person to person conflicts, but very rarely do they rise above that.
Yeah.
And talk about social conflicts,
Yeah.
and national issues, So it's a first world, third world kind of situation that we're talking about here, like exploitation and all that. So quite unique, and yet at the same time, although it has a cause behind it,
Yeah.
it doesn't lose its ability to be a very shock scare.
Yeah. Like most of this for cause, for good, for humanity kind of project, it's always trying to tug on your heartstrings, and you've seen it
Yeah.
once, you've seen it all the time. But to turn it into a horror film that isn't just trying to shoehorn values into the show,
Yes.
but really as audience you watch it, you get all the parts that are brilliantly produced and directed as a horror film. And
Correct.
then at the end, it still gets you to think about,
Yeah.
the
So it's quite
suffering.
sophisticated, right? Because I used to watch a lot of these, PETA ads and all that
Yeah.
against fur and all that, And there's two strategies, right? Number one is, oh, so cute, and then there's empathy or pity, and then on the other hand is fear, right? They try to intimidate you, And this one kind of treads a line. There is neither of these things. It's not trying to shame you
Yep.
or horrify you about the cause. It's not trying to make you sad, but it's trying to make you aware. So it's a very woke kind of approach to it. It doesn't treat you as a fool. It treats you as a sophisticated person that just needs to be given a trigger.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
And also the thing is, if you don't know it's a movie about a cause, and
Yeah.
the premise of the story is that third world countries, sweatshops, there was a fire that gutted the entire warehouse.
Yep.
300 kids died, right? And somehow the souls of the angry kids, their blood, right, seeps into the cloth, and then they sell it away still, but the it's all cursed. you still can pass off. You know, like
It still works.
yeah, it
Yes,
still
in a
works.
purely supernatural way, it works. It works, you know. And actually, but now that you bring that up, right? You know, let's dissect a little bit, right?
Yeah,
And you talk about, you know, if you read about the factories and all that, right?
yeah.
Then I would imagine the film would be more effective if the ghost had been a child, right? Because she's a little bit grown up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You know, and so she is not quite the face of the victims that we've heard of. You know, a child would have
Yeah.
made it more terrifying. Everyone knows a child ghost is just 100 times scarier than a grown-up ghost.
Yes, yes. But I think this is more of a, again, budget issue and talent issue, and I because it's a short film, it's an indie short film with a cause.
Yeah.
We I mean, because you and I, we are extremely critical, right? Like for us to watch a movie, sometimes we just can't sit down and enjoy a horror movie anymore. You know, and ladies and gentlemen, you guys may not know, but John and I, we caught a horror film not too long ago. The minute we got out, we spent like an hour dissecting the whole show and like, what happened to sitting down and just enjoying the horror? No, we can't do that.
No. The discussion is longer than the film.
Yeah. So what are some of the parts that you want to point out to us?
It was quite interesting though, because I was looking at, someone commented very early, right? She recognized straight away the Primark and the H&M bags, you know, and so she was actually very aware of the sort of cheap and convenient clothing aspect very early, you know. So there are lots of clues sort of laid like breadcrumbs along the way, you know, which is very exciting, right? So to me, you know, I really appreciate a film that challenges you to pick up clues.
Yeah.
You know, and it always gives you rewatch value because you catch some clues, you don't catch them all, and then after you've seen the ending, you watch it again and you can pick up everything. So this is one of those films. I bet if you watched it a third time, there'll still be little details that you don't notice. You know, and even I'm still discovering things. Like today, I just discovered, you know, about the extra click of the lighter, you know, before the headless shirt appeared. You know, so there's, I think a real good film needs to have so much richness in it that it repays rewatching, repays analysis, you know. So this one is a smart film. It's a smart film for me, you know.
I like. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Don't let me
No.
interrupt.
No, but you've got several things picked out, right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to read out the comments from what others have posted, and I find it. See the beauty of going on this live stream is we don't just hear John's voice and my voice. We get to hear your voices as well. You guys get to tell us what you found and what you noticed. Like clearly, you know, I'm not a fashion guru. I won't know anything about clothes, but maybe you guys know most stuff. But Shin Min Tan said, you know, but at the end of the show, the director and all, they're still wearing clothes.
Yeah, I would definitely have said you should follow through.
Right?
Follow through to the end, you know, and sort of live the example.
Yeah. And then she can even say, remember, don't forget to take off your clothes. Like, how dare you tell us to take off our clothes? You are still fully clothed.
I like what Tim O said, right? It's like, the fear on her face at the end was, how do I explain to my landlord the wallpaper caught fire? So, to really be socially aware and socially conscious, I guess the ghost should have also come with a fire extinguisher because she was clearly here to burn only the clothes, right? So she should be sort of, you know, responsible to make sure that the rest of the apartment doesn't catch fire, you know? So, yeah.
So take off your clothes 2, the sequel will be about how this building got gutted down and the souls of angry residents, you know?
No, this girl, this blonde ghost.
She's not a new ghost, huh?
Yeah, so next time you hear a lighter, there'll be the Indian lady there, and then right behind her will be the blonde lady queuing up. Right? So it's like a sequence of hauntings, right?
What's that show? The one where I think no, this is the one I watched on my own. It's a Japanese show called House of the Disappeared.
House of the Disappeared.
Yeah, like everyone who dies in the house, they don't really die. Some of them they don't die at all, but they just newspaper report people just went missing.
Right.
And every 25 years, the portal opens up and things will happen. The new residents will die and they will join the rest of the dead spirits in that.
So like collecting souls kind of thing,
Yeah, but I'm not going to ruin it for you because it's a brilliant show. There's a twist at the end. But it has something to do with... I'm trying to see how I'm going to say this without spoiling the show.
Giving it away.
Yeah, giving it away. Yes, there are souls in it.
Mm-hmm.
But it also plays around with the concept of timeline and how in the spirit world and the real world they're kind of different.
Yes.
right? And there's that moment where it's a bit like Interstellar. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, the whole interstellar thing is something that the supernatural has been playing with for a very long time.
Yeah.
You know, right? We know time moves differently when you're dead.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, this is something interesting, right? For those of you who are fans of Ju-On, right? You know, the wonderful Japanese series, right? By Shimizu, right? Yes, exactly. No, must be lower pitched than that. You know, right? And one of the fun things about Ju-On, right? You know, to digress a little bit from Take Off Your Clothes, right? Is that it's anthology based, right? Every Ju-On film is like maybe about 4 or 5 different segments tracing different people who've stepped into the house and kena cursed, right? And usually out of sequence.
Yeah.
You know, so certain killings happen before others, certain happen after. So you have to sort of figure out this time game, right? But in the later sequels, I think from the second film onwards, right, they started to link those stories across time. So you would see something happen in the first one that only happens later on in the third story, for example. So it's very exciting, and that adds a whole new dimension to it. So it's more than just a haunting, but there's a dimensional sort of, time rift thing, which is very, very thrilling.
For fans of horror movies, and if you actually deep dive into the whole Ju-On universe, right, that people become addicted to the Ju-On universe not just because of that pale-faced boy. That's actually the later on series, but
Kayako.
Yeah, Kayako, and it has a lot. The directors like to experiment with new ideas, and it's very simplified. It's a lot of concept. So, the whole goes within the timeline thing.
Yeah.
If it's done well, it
Yes.
can be very powerful. But it's also very difficult to pull it off. Like, I don't think I would be able to write a story like that.
But it's also nice because they don't treat it as a major thing. They don't make it about time. It's just one of the things that ghosts do, right? It's part of their mystery.
Yeah.
And I think that's wonderful because you're adding to the superpowers of the supernatural. You're giving it a lot more different weapons to surprise us with. I think that's really rich, you see.
Yeah.
In fact, just to test, right? It's amazing because one of these days we should do a countdown of the number of new horror tropes that are traceable directly to Ju-On. And they have now been reproduced in a lot of Asian films, and definitely Hollywood has started stealing them. I think there are at least 10, if not more. It's amazing. Like for example, every time you see a film in which someone gets their jaw ripped off, that's from Ju-On. Ju-On was the first one to do it.
Huh.
A person with no jaw and then their tongue is just flapping.
Yeah.
I've seen it I don't know, dozens of times in other films, but Ju-On was the beginning of that, So there's a lot of inventiveness in the Ju-On series.
Well, we'll get to the Ju-On. I think we should one day look at all these cult classics and talk about them.
Yes.
You have given me about 5 films to pick from. So, for better or for worse, Supernatural Confession audience, we have at least 4 more Ghost-Mortem episodes to.
And I've got tons more stored up, don't worry.
And there's a reason why I chose, of all the 5 that you said to me, there's a reason why I chose this one first.
Yeah, I'm curious to know why.
Because it says take off your clothes. To me, I was hoping it would be like some erotic horror show.
and I mean the power of a good title, right?
Yeah, power. Definitely.
Clearly, this film wins for a title.
Yeah.
Okay, it definitely wins.
Now let us go and take a look at some of the scenes, the iconic scenes that was in the movie.
Sure.
Where is it? There we go. Okay, so we're not going to play the whole show this time around. We're just going to show specific scenes and the
okay.
time. The first one I want to talk about is 1 minute 43 seconds, and we have this guy here.
Yeah.
Oops. This fella.
I mean, first off, it's the classic peephole horror, right? And I've seen so many peephole horror things that I really do not dare to look through a peephole anymore. Because every time I do, so many references pop into my head, right? So this is a very major horror trope that's very enjoyable.
There's a class of people who hate horror movies that reuse tropes. But I feel most shows tropes you try not to reuse, but horror gets away with reusing tropes because that trope works so well. I can show you 10 times, and all 10 times, even if you know, you'll be freaked out. And that's
because you can't get immune to a good trope.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, yeah. And in a way, like, you know, like my personal example, right? If you see the thing happen in 20 films, you are so sure it's going to happen to you. Because it's no longer a one-off unique experience. It's not just that blonde girl. You know, everyone around the world has a ghost outside their door, so I probably have one too. So I think tropes may sometimes detract from the film itself, maybe, right, if not used too inventively, but over time, over multiple films as a genre, tropes are very important because they make the fear something rooted, and generational. I mean, like the things we talk about in classic films, we only talk about them because they are tropes. If they only appeared once, we wouldn't talk about them.
And as smart tropes sometimes just plays on your prior knowledge and your imagination, right?
Yeah.
Like I am, in real life, I am terrified of mirrors because I always have this imagination that if I look away from the mirror, my reflection will turn and look at me. So, like I'm an adult, I know that's not likely to happen, I suppose, but I'm still afraid.
Yeah, because the tropes work. Yeah. Right? It's been drummed into you again and again and again. It's kind of like adults telling you ghost stories or telling you fairy tales, right? If you hear the moral often enough, you learn.
Yes, and that becomes
Be afraid of the witch, be afraid of the forest, be afraid of the wolf, be afraid of the mirror, be afraid of the peephole, So in a way, ghost stories to me have always been a sort of ongoing tradition of telling children stories and, reminding us about things to fear. So the tropes become a necessary part of that. If you don't repeat, they don't become ingrained.
True.
This
other scene that I like is this one. And I think this, if I'm not wrong, I have not seen Angmo horror movies putting clothes on the chair like that. Have you seen any?
Yes. No.
No, right?
It was definitely not very recognizable.
But for Asian audience, so confessors, those of you who are watching this scene right now along with us, when you see this scene, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Please leave your answer in the comments below because I have an answer myself and I think we might be on the same page. What do you think, Jonathan?
Yeah, I mean, for me, right, I'm very struck by the black and white of that arrangement, right? And to me, there was my first impression of that was it's someone attending a funeral. Of course, nowadays it could also be your real estate agent or your financial advisor, lah.
Or the waiter.
But but something about the pose also with the hands on the leg, on the lap and all that. So to me, after I screamed, the next thing was that there seemed to be a little bit of a personality, a little bit of an attitude behind that chair.
I don't know whether you can see my hand now. My hair is all okay. And why this scene is exceptionally scary for me is most of us in Asia, maybe in the olden generation, when our parents die, we tend to put clothes on the chair like that.
Yes.
Because when my grandpa died, we did this for him. And you notice how the shoe is being placed is not straight in front.
Yes.
Because, and I would say, again, from my own experience and from people I've been talking to, we always believe that when someone dies in Asian culture, the soul remains in 7 days and come back to visit.
Yes.
And one of the telltale signs that the ghost has came back is that the shoes will move. And the shoes never move apart this way. The shoes always move inwards. And this is what we see right now. So
I wonder whether there is in the production team, a certain amount of Asian influence. I mean, the actress was Indian, So I think there's a little bit of Asian culture at least informing their choices. Actually, if you jump back to your 147,
147,
your peephole, I can bring up another Asian thing there. Right, there he is. Right, so he's in a corridor that is clearly yellow lit. He has lit a lighter which is orange, but he's glowing green. right? That mysterious green glow, which to Asians is very rich and meaningful, right? Because the color green in many of our Asian cultures is an infernal color, is the color of hell, right? You know, from the Buddhist tradition, even from the Taoist tradition, right? So you see a lot of use of sort of greenish blue, turquoise in Asian horror.
Asian horror, green is more than red.
Yeah, absolutely. Because red is the color of life, right? It's a very yang color, you know, whereas green and blue are the yin colors, you know, right? So it's very clear whenever I see Asian and green, I go, yes, you understood what it's about, you know? Right? Ghosts don't want to be brightly colored. They want to be sort of, you know, bluish and wet looking, you know? Yeah, so this was an interesting touch. And in fact, if you look through the rest of the film, I mean, for those of you who go and watch it again on your own, you will see that later in the room, there are very mysterious moments where the green comes back. You know, in a room that is clearly lit with generally yellow light, right? It's very IKEA. You know, everything is yellow, everything is tea lights. And then suddenly, every now and then, there's a green shadow on her face. It's not just a lighting effect, but I think there's a little hint there of Asian supernatural.
You see, when we look at American horror, black and red are the dominant colors for horror, hell. But in Chinese, Asian culture, red, you don't even wear red to a funeral. Red is considered luck. Right?
Yes.
I think
actually the only time that red is scary is when you wear it to a cemetery.
Yes, that's the only time. But that's a splash of red, but that's not the whole setting. This green setting is a very Asian horror thing.
Very powerful. Yes, very powerful.
Okay, I'm going to go to the next scene.
Yay.
This one, this scene, I thought this scene was worth mentioning because from an audience point of view, we are looking at a wide shot of her back. She's looking out of the window at a threat that is on the outside.
Yeah,
but we have
the man, right? The man outside.
Yeah, but remember we had just seen a scene of the clothes mysteriously forming itself like a person on a chair. So we, and probably the lady, the blonde girl herself, knows that there's a ghost in the house. But at the same time, you're now looking at a threat outside, and you are you're stuck in between.
Yeah.
And seeing this scene of the back, even as audience, this is what freaks us out because we then start to feel something behind us. I'm not sure whether you got that or not.
So the POV suggests that, you know, something, I'm that something watching her.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, they should have lowered it a little bit to be at the height of the chair. You know, then it'll be even creepier. You know.
Okay.
But I assume it's the point of view of the lady who's standing there behind the door.
And there's one thing that you said also. You heard the lighter click, right?
Yeah.
One of the scenes.
So just after she saw the clothes on the chair, right, and before she could do anything about it, she heard one lighter flick inside the room, very close, which is why she turned and suddenly went to the window. So she didn't really understand how close it was. Yeah. But for the audience, you sort of go, "Oh God, it's right beside her.
It's in your room. It's with you."
But she still doesn't know. So very early, the film gives you chances as the audience to be smarter than her, you know, and to scream out a warning to her. But you know, she's a bit slow, lah.
And that's the thing. That's the thing about horror films. You can get away. You are allowed to be smarter than the protagonist, and that's where part of the fear is.
It's important that they respect you enough to let you be smarter. You know.
This other scene, I found it very funny. Like,
apart from the fact that she refuses to call, which several people have pointed out in the comments, right? she's a pure millennial, lah. Okay.
When you pointed it out, then it makes a lot of sense to me because why would this is almost very natural for a lot of us even to today. I'm not a millennial, but if I'm in a scary situation, and I have been in a scary situation many times, my first inclination is to bring out my handphone and to type a message to my friends, and not even to call.
It's strange, right? I mean, it seems to be counterintuitive because wouldn't you want to hear a human voice to reassure you?
And then again, if there's a human voice on the other end of the phone also lah, then there's another horror trope lah.
So maybe it's because we have another trope, which is that when you actually answer a call, it's probably the guy from Scream asking you, "Do you like scary movies?" Right? So the phone clearly is already haunted, you know, in the call mode.
Yeah.
right? But nowadays, I mean, the messaging mode is also haunted, as you can see in this case, right? So everything's been hacked by the supernatural, so we're screwed,
Yeah.
right? So she just needs to like start, I don't know, sending a telegram, you know?
Now, this scene is your classic helpless damsel scene. Because to be on your knees and have your phone under the bed or the couch is a very vulnerable position.
Yeah, I think poses of vulnerability are an important trope in horror, you know, because I mean, again, every time it happens, we go, why again? You know, don't do it. But it's important because it allows you to feel vulnerability, to feel being exposed, you know. And in fact, about a year ago, right, there were a whole string of Indonesian horror films that were coming through, right? And I was commenting on some places about one thing that I discovered because of those films. I saw about 6 or 7 of them. And the Indonesian films have created a new trope, right? Based on vulnerable positions, which is when Muslims pray, right? At certain points in the prayer, right? The movements they make, certain poses are extremely vulnerable, you know? And so these new Indonesian filmmakers have started playing with that, and it's really bold and it's really terrifying, you know, especially when they have to when they get up, right? So first you sort of lower your head to the ground, and then you sort of kneel up, right? And then you have to turn to the side. And I've never thought of it in a horror way before, but it's terrifying because the moment you turn to one side, you go, oh shit, the ghost is on the other side, you know. So it's fantastic that we're still discovering, you know, within our Asian culture, new things to sort of terrify us, you know. But this one is an old classic, right? Because if you look back at the film from a creative perspective, there's absolutely no need for her phone to drop under the bed at all. We know the ghost is not under the bed, right? For once in a horror film, this bed is safe.
Now, but you see how they were smart about this is, you see the trope where it's an open door and a black passageway outside.
Yeah.
This was used many times in a lot of horror movie, and it's used exceptionally as a key trope in a movie called Paranormal Activity, where fixed camera shows open room door, empty corridor, right? And then your eyes is always flicking towards the empty corridor because something your mind tells you something's going to appear from there.
Yeah.
And this plays on that as well.
Yes, absolutely. So they set up the possible threats, right? You know, but it's interesting because then it shows you that there's a game that's being played.
Yeah.
You know, because this is a little detour, right? I'm scaring you about something that actually will not be there. When you finish watching it, you understand that that's not how this particular ghost works. But at that moment, let's have another little fear. You know, let's have another moment of fear, right? And it's also important because it helps to build her psychology.
Yeah.
She needs to be broken down.
And this part, she's looking in the darkness. Oh no, it's too
See
far.
the green on her hair?
Yeah, this one, right?
Right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of green coming up now, yeah.
The green again. See?
There you go. It comes from nowhere in particular. Maybe it comes from outside the window, but that's, you know, it's a wonderful way to sort of justify that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see your open doorway. This is your classic children in the bedroom looking at the closet door kind of fear. Right? It's the shadow people in my cupboard kind of thing. You know?
Nora Shikin says, "Oh yes, I agree with the turning to the side and expecting something creepy to be there. Notice that
Yes,
being used
you've
in a
been
couple
there,
of
right?
Malaysian horror films as well." See?
Yeah, see, so now the next time you pray, Nora, careful, huh?
Geraldine, your hair blue. That's it lah. You're asking ghosts to come find you already. So this scene, the one where there's something in the darkness, it hints of something in the darkness. You know there's something in the darkness, and this really plays on our fear of seeing something in the dark and not knowing what it is, right? Except for this, it then comes up to you.
But it's also very witty because rather than put it in the dark doorway, they put it behind the door. You know, in every other film you've seen where there's an open door and someone's staring at it, it's the darkness in the door that you're worried about.
Yeah.
You know, but this time it's not. You know, so that's, for me, it's like, again, it's a game within a game lah.
And I don't know which is scarier, like the thing outside in the shadows or the thing in my room not in the shadows anymore.
I'm more scared of something that can squeeze behind an open door because that's clearly not going to be a person. You know?
Then this part where
look at the shadows. Wonderful use of shadows. I mean, the lighting in this film is remarkable.
Look at the
for
right
not-
side again, green.
Yeah, green, and then and really stark shadows, right? I mean, sometimes they cheat a little bit, their light sources, but it's a very richly lit thing, and I think in horror, lighting is so powerful.
Totally.
You don't really sort of notice it until you sort of do this, right, and pause and admire it, But every single frame of this film is elegantly lit and usually quite different, So there's a certain liveliness to the lighting. So very exciting.
And I want to see that scene again. This one. Ah.
So your gratuitous semi-nudity.
Yeah, at least I still get part of my,
Yeah, they promised you in the title. Okay, right.
Yeah.
So
this scene. This is the scene I like the least.
okay, why do you like it the least?
I'm always a big fan of horror shows that don't show the horror.
So you feel that we're seeing too much of her, lah?
Like when he was in the shadows, I was spooked. When the clothes was on the chair, I was spooked. Even the crazy weird guy out there, usually the old crazy guy who foretells the future, like, you're going to the house. He's also spooky, but the minute you see the ghost come to life, okay, burnt and all that, then you go, oh, okay, I can see the ghost now. Then the fear just drops from me.
I mean, I would agree that my first impression when I saw this particular moment was Calypso from Pirates of the Caribbean, right? So and the thing about that is it's sort of like overdone supernatural. Calypso is like so voodoo until cannot voodoo anymore. It's like she's like 10,000 voodoo women in one kind of thing. So it's a bit overplayed, right? So perhaps there is a sense that this moment is a little bit unsubtle. But then again, if you look at it from another perspective, it's important to the film's cause because we have to know she's burnt.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the one piece of key information. So far, you've managed to scare us with her, but we must know something about her. And it doesn't matter whether she's male or female or a child or whatever, but we must understand that she's burnt. So the fire then has a meaning. Right? Perhaps they could have done it without showing her face, maybe just her hand or something, so they could have played with it. That one is a choice that they made, but definitely the burning is the reason that we have to see her face.
And then she says, I'm not here to hurt you. Please don't hurt me. Right?
But you have to stop hurting me.
Yeah.
And I think that for me was a powerful moment, when the ghost finally speaks, right? Usually when the ghosts finally speak in a horror film, they usually kind of say rather useless things, but in this case, it was very important. It was very cryptic. If you had not suspected what the film was about, it would be very mysterious, this statement.
Because most ghosts are out there to harm you.
Yeah. So you'd be like, why are you not harmless? And yet, why are you scaring me like crazy? And then number two, how am I hurting you? How is this blonde chick hurting? So it's a little bit of a wonderful mystery if you haven't already clicked on to something else, right? And that leads me to sort of the moment that I want to talk about, right? Which is how, after saying that, and setting the clothes on fire, what this lady does, right, is, I'm going to jump to the moment after the fire.
Oh, this one?
Yeah, and what does she do? She rests her hand on the girl's head. And I'm very fascinated by a detail like this because if you look at the nature of that gesture, she's not forcing her to watch, which you would think she could, right? She could say, "Look at what you've done. This is the payback, right?"
Look at
I'm
what
forcing
you did to
watch.
us.
Yeah, but she's not doing that. She's not doing that at all. Her hand is relaxed.
It's more pleading, right?
Pleading, possibly comforting to a certain degree also. So I'm almost inclined to say that she's saying, I know you didn't mean it, but it hurt me. So that there's something very interesting and almost, I guess it's a bit of both, lah. There's a bit of a warning, but there's a bit of a comforting there. So that to me makes the message a little bit less hardcore, a little bit less hard sell. And her, this blonde actress is doing a really good job because there's such a complexity in her, She's not looking directly at the flame, right? As if she's afraid to look or ashamed to look. But then her eyes sort of go to it a little bit later on, So there's conflict at the end.
And
No
it's almost
resolution,
like
no
the tears
resolution.
in her eyes is not tears for fears. Tears of
No,
fears.
it's not. It's not fear.
Yeah.
It's not fear, right? It's a combination of shame and realization. So I feel that it's a wonderfully emotional ending.
But
and
that was what I thought before. But after
Ah.
Team O has said that she's actually trying to think about how she's going to tell her landlord, I can't get that out of my mind already.
so she's actually crying for the
It's like,
wallpaper,
oh my
lah.
god, my deposit is going to be gone.
Which actually adds a very interesting extra thing, because if you look at the burnt sari that the ghost is wearing, it kind of looks like the wallpaper.
Yeah.
You can go back and double check that later, okay? Because that's the first thing I noticed. Like, so is this the ghost of the wallpaper? That was the first thing I thought when I watched it the first time.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, so I think this show has a lot of details. For an 8-minute show, they really take effort in, putting in all the stuff for us to see.
Yeah.
It's so rich, like so rich.
Very rich, and I mean, I don't know how many of you out there are regular watchers of short horror, but if you've seen a lot, like I have and Eugene have, a lot of them don't take this much effort.
Oh, Geraldine said one thing which I think might make sense. Thanks, Geraldine, for that.
Yeah.
She says like the ghost putting the hand on her head is sharing the memory of what happened to her, like a psychic touch.
Like a psychic touch. Yes, that's quite possible. Yeah. So in a different way, then it should lead to a flashback, lah. But it doesn't have to, because I think that would be oversell.
Yeah.
Right, that would be oversell.
Yeah, you don't need that
right?
already. Yeah.
But that's a good touch. And in fact, the flashback does happen. It happens after the credits.
Yes.
It happens for us. So it's almost as if the psychic touch, Geraldine, is through her comes to us.
Very good.
And we see the memory of what happened.
And
to
that's
her.
the other thing that is very prominent in this show as well. A lot of it allows the audience to be in the scene, like looking at her back, looking at a flashback, seeing things. It's involving the audience in it, not so much of distancing us.
Implicating us.
So we don't take off our clothes
right?
too.
Yeah. And that's important. I think I think for most horror films, it works best if you can sort of tangle us up in what's going on, get us lost in it, because otherwise we are able to watch it sort of with our arms crossed and leaning back, as a spectator, right? And horror does not work if you stay a spectator.
Yeah, true.
Well,
I think we did pretty well today. We went 1 hour. We thought we were going to be 30 minutes. We are 1 hour now. I hope the rest of the other short films that you have selected are just as good.
There's some really juicy stuff coming.
Because you set us up the bar so high for our first short film.
Oh dear, you chose it, man. Okay, no, but there's some really, really, really good ones coming up, and they're all very different from each other, so it's wonderful.
Cool. Anyway, you guys, thank you for watching along with us. I noticed most of you have stuck all the way through with us. Thank you so much. This is our first show, so we don't know if you're going to like it. We think you might like it because you guys have been asking us for recommendations. So this is mix of both. It's not just a recommended movie, a featured film, but at the same time we discuss it because I know that's what you guys love as well. So we put it two into one.
And you cannot do that in a cinema, so here's your chance.
Yeah. So if you have any other films, scenes that you want us, Jonathan and I, to discuss, you can always leave us a message. After the 5th episode, we don't have any more movies lined up, so we can take your suggestions.
And please keep the comments coming, so that we can sort of pick up on these things. Keep the conversation going. Yeah.
Okay. Any last words, John?
Take off your clothes.
A good one. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed it tonight. Jonathan, thank you once again, and I'll see you next Tuesday, everybody, for another round of Ghost-Mortem. See ya.
Supernatural Confessions.